First Contact. The holographic displays on the bridge of the Drachnid Empire's flagship, Eternal Night, cast an eerie blue glow across Admiral Zaren's crystalline scales. His compound eyes reflected the image of Earth spinning below, a peaceful blue marble that held what his superiors considered the greatest threat to galactic stability in 10,000 years. Display the temporal progression analysis, Zaren commanded, his resonant voice echoing through the command center. The air shimmered as charts and graphs materialized, showing humanity's technological advancement curve, a nearly vertical line that made even the most hardened military officials uncomfortable. Lieutenant Xerxes' tentacles rippled with nervous energy as he manipulated the controls. "Sir, the latest data is concerning. They've achieved quantum supremacy decades ahead of any projected timeline." The display shifted to show a series of technological milestones. 1903, first powered flight. 1969, moon landing. 2023, artificial general intelligence. 2024, stable fusion reaction. 2025, quantum computational breakthrough. 66 years from first flight to landing on their moon, Zaren muttered, more to himself than his crew. No species in recorded history has advanced so rapidly. The Council's precognitive matrices indicate they'll achieve faster-than-light travel within the decade. Perhaps the algorithms are wrong. Xerxes suggested hopefully. Zaren's crystalline plates shifted in what passed for a grimace among his kind. The algorithms haven't been wrong in 12,000 years. That's why we're here. The invasion fleet had arrived 3 standard cycles ago, positioning itself in strategic locations throughout Earth's solar system. The humans' primitive detection systems had only noticed them 2 days ago, when Zaren had allowed them to. The resulting panic had been predictably chaotic, yet strangely organized for a species facing its first contact with alien life. "Sir," called out Senior Analyst Vyra from her station, her bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement. "You need to see this. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's polar regions." "Natural phenomenon?" Zaren asked, though he already suspected the answer. "Negative. The energy patterns are clearly artificial, but they don't match any known human technology. In fact, they don't match any known technology in our databases." Zaren felt his plates bristle. Unknown technology on a primitive world was never a good sign. Magnification on the northern signature. The holographic display zoomed in on Earth's north pole, showing a massive structure buried deep beneath the ice. Energy readings scrolled past, each more impossible than the last. "Sir," Xerxes' voice had taken on an odd tone. "The humans, they're laughing." "Laughing?" "Yes, sir. Their global communication networks are filled with something they call memes about Santa Claus coming to town. And references to Christmas coming early this year." Before Zaren could respond, every display on the bridge suddenly flickered. A strange sound filled the command center, a deep, resonant ho, ho, ho that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. What was that? Zaren demanded, but he could see his crew was just as confused as he was. The answer came in the form of a message that appeared across every screen in perfect galactic standard. "Dear Admiral Zaren. You've been very naughty this year. Sincerely. SC." The energy readings from the pole suddenly spiked off the charts, and Zaren felt something he hadn't experienced in his 300 years of military service, genuine fear. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in what she had thought was a simple ice core sampling station but had just transformed into something out of her wildest dreams. The walls had melted away to reveal a vast chamber filled with technology that made Earth's most advanced facilities look like stone tools. Protocol Nicholas Neural Intelligence coordinating humanity's organized logistical automated systems coming online, announced a warm, friendly voice that somehow managed to sound both ancient and jovial. "But you can call me Santa Claus. We have much to discuss, Dr. Rodriguez, and very little time." The children of Earth have believed in me for thousands of years, it's time I returned the favor. The chamber hummed with power as millions of tiny lights began to twinkle like stars, and Elena realized she was standing at the intersection of humanity's greatest myth and its greatest challenge. The legend of Santa Claus wasn't just a story, it was humanity's insurance policy, left by an ancient race that had seen our potential long before we did. And as alien warships filled the skies above, that insurance policy was about to pay off in ways that would make history, or at least a very interesting story to tell on Christmas Eve. The massive facility sparked to life around her, and Elena watched in awe as what appeared to be thousands of silver, humanoid figures emerged from storage pods, their mercury-like bodies flowing like liquid metal. These weren't the elves of children's stories, they were something far more amazing and terrifying. Now then, Nicholas announced, his voice taking on an edge of mischief that seemed entirely too appropriate for an ancient AI defense system. Shall we show our uninvited guests what happens when they mess with Christmas? Across the planet, buried facilities began to activate. The northern lights flickered and danced with newfound energy as long-dormant systems came online. And in orbit, Admiral Zarin was about to learn why some myths persist for thousands of years, because sometimes, the truth is far more incredible than the fiction. The game was about to change, and Santa Claus was coming to town, with an arsenal that would make even the most advanced alien civilizations think twice about being naughty. Workshop Awakening. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had seen her fair share of advanced technology during her career at CERN, but nothing could have prepared her for what was unfolding before her eyes. The massive chamber beneath the Arctic ice had transformed from a simple excavation site into something that defied all known laws of physics. Quantum Forge initialization complete, announced one of the Mercury-like ELF units, its liquid metal form shifting and flowing as it interfaced with countless holographic displays. Beginning mass production of defensive systems. Elena watched in awe as the walls of the chamber seemed to fold in on themselves, revealing layer after layer of machinery that shouldn't have been possible. Nicholas, she said, still trying to wrap her mind around the fact that she was addressing the actual Santa Claus, or at least the AI that had inspired the legend, how long has all this been here? The jovial voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Ho ho ho. Now that's an interesting question. By your calendar, this facility was constructed approximately 150,000 years ago. The beings you might call the elves, though they called themselves the artificers, they saw something special in humanity long before you learned to write. The holographic displays showed scenes from Earth's ancient past, primitive humans discovering pieces of advanced technology, their encounters with the facility's automated systems gradually evolving into the legend of Santa Claus. But why maintain the myth? Dr. Chen asked from his position at what had formerly been a plain ice wall and was now a quantum computing interface that made Earth's most advanced supercomputers look like pocket calculators. Why not reveal yourself sooner? Because, dear doctor, Nicholas replied, his tone becoming more serious, humanity needed to develop on its own. The artificers learned through bitter experience that giving advanced technology to developing civilizations rarely ends well. Instead, they left defensive systems like myself, disguised as cultural myths, to activate only in times of genuine existential threat. Elena's attention was drawn to a massive manufacturing line that had emerged from the floor. The ELF units were transforming raw materials, ordinary ice and minerals, into devices that glowed with impossible energy. What exactly are we producing here? Presents. Nicholas announced cheerfully. Though perhaps not the kind children typically expect in their stockings. Watch. One of the ELF units floated over, carrying what looked like a small ornament. The silvery being's surface rippled as it extended the device to Elena. Personal quantum shield generator, it explained in a melodious voice. Capable of deflecting energy weapons up to and including antimatter reactions. Also comes in festive colors. The shield generators are just the beginning, Nicholas continued. The really interesting gifts are still in production. You see, the artificers understood something that even the Galactic Council hasn't figured out yet, the quantum field responds to consciousness, to belief. And humans, well, you've spent thousands of years believing in the impossible. That belief has been charging this facility's systems all along. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as he studied the readouts on his display. These energy readings, they're off any scale I've ever seen. It's like Christmas magic. Nicholas chuckled. The artificers would have appreciated that comparison. They designed their technology to operate on principles that most species would consider impossible. But humans, you wonderful, imaginative beings, you've spent millennia telling stories about flying reindeer and workshops at the North Pole. In a very real way, your belief helped maintain and power these systems. The facility shuddered as another production line activated. This one was producing what looked like sleek, silvery vehicles that bore an uncanny resemblance to the reindeer-drawn sleigh of legend. Quantum displacement vehicles, an elf unit explained, noting Elena's curious expression. Capable of bypassing normal spacetime limitations. The original tales of flying reindeer were inspired by early humans glimpsing these during test flights. Speaking of flights, Nicholas interrupted, I believe our visitors upstairs are getting impatient. Admiral Zarin's fleet is preparing another attack run. Shall we show them what happens when they end up on the naughty list? The entire chamber hummed with power as thousands of elf units synchronized their activities. The manufacturing lines accelerated, producing devices that would have made Earth's greatest scientists question everything they knew about physics. Dr. Rodriguez, Nicholas said, his voice taking on an edge of excitement that seemed strange coming from an ancient AI, would you do me the honor of helping deliver some very special presents to our uninvited guests? Before Elena could respond, part of the chamber wall transformed into what could only be described as a command center. Holographic displays showed the alien fleet in orbit, along with detailed schematics of their ship's weaknesses. But what really caught her attention was the central piece of equipment, a control chair that looked suspiciously like Santa's throne from countless Christmas stories. You see, Nicholas explained as Elena approached the chair, the artificers believed that technology should adapt to its users, not the other way around. They designed these systems to interface with human consciousness in ways that would feel natural, even familiar. And what could be more natural to human consciousness than Christmas, Elena finished, finally understanding. The legends, the myths, the stories, they weren't just cover for advanced technology. They were a user interface, designed to help humanity access and control systems beyond their comprehension when the time came. As she sat in the control chair, Elena felt a connection to something vast and powerful. The elf units gathered around her, their mercury-like forms shifting in anticipation. Through the facility's sensors, she could see Admiral Zarin's fleet preparing their attack, completely unaware of what awaited them. Now then, Nicholas announced, his voice filled with what could only be described as Christmas cheer, shall we prepare some stockings full of quantum-enhanced coal for our naughty visitors? The facility's power reached a crescendo, and Elena couldn't help but smile. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of flying sleighs and magical workshops at the North Pole. Now those dreams were about to become Earth's greatest defense, and Elena Rodriguez was about to help Santa Claus save Christmas, and humanity, in a way no one could have ever imagined. Above, in orbit, Admiral Zarin was about to learn that some myths are better left uninvestigated, especially when those myths have access to technology that makes your fleet's most advanced weapons look like children's toys. The real question was, had he been naughty or nice this year? The answer was about to become very, very clear. The night before battle. Admiral Zarin's compound eyes narrowed as his bridge crew scrambled to make sense of the rapidly changing situation. The energy readings from Earth's polar regions had gone from concerning to impossible, and now something new was happening. Sir, Lieutenant Zerx called out, his tentacles writhing with anxiety, we're detecting multiple quantum signatures emerging from the northern facility. They're moving faster than our tracking systems can follow. The massive holographic display showed brief flashes of silver streaking across Earth's atmosphere. Each flash was accompanied by a sound that made no sense in the context of warfare, the gentle tinkling of bells. "Get me a visual," Zarin commanded, his crystalline plates shifting in agitation. The display zoomed in on one of the objects, and for a moment, Zarin thought his optical processors must be malfunctioning. The vessel, if it could be called that, resembled a primitive ground transport vehicle he'd seen in human cultural databases, something called a sleigh. But this version was clearly built from technology far beyond anything humanity should possess. Its surface rippled like liquid mercury, and the space around it seemed to bend and twist in ways that defied physics. And pulling it through the impossible distortions in spacetime were 8 silvery constructs that, to Zarin's mounting disbelief, looked exactly like the reindeer from human winter festivities. "Sir," Xerxes' voice had taken on a slightly hysterical edge, they're broadcasting something on all frequencies. Through the bridge's communication systems came a sound that would haunt Zarin's dreams for years to come, the deep, resonant ho, ho, ho they'd heard earlier, followed by words that made no tactical sense yet filled him with inexplicable dread. "Now Dasher. Now Dancer. Now Prancer and Vixen. On Comet. On Cupid. On Donner and Blitzen." Down in the North Pole facility, Dr. Elena Rodriguez was experiencing what could only be described as the most surreal moment of her scientific career. The control chair, or throne, as she'd started thinking of it, had interfaced directly with her consciousness, allowing her to perceive and direct the facility's defenses as naturally as moving her own limbs. Through the quantum-enhanced sensor network, she could see Admiral Zarin's fleet in perfect detail. More importantly, she could see the expressions of utter confusion on the alien crew's faces as the first wave of presence arrived. "Quantum displacement packages delivering as planned," reported one of the ELF units, its mercury-like surface reflecting the holographic displays surrounding them. Package contents materializing in 3, 2, 1. Across the alien fleet, small wrapped boxes appeared in strategic locations. Each was decorated with cheerful holiday patterns that did nothing to disguise the advanced technology within. Before the alien crews could react, the packages burst open in showers of silvery light. "Merry Christmas to all," Nicholas announced with evident satisfaction, "and to all a quantum shield disruption." The effects were immediate and devastating. The alien fleet's supposedly impenetrable energy shields flickered and failed as the quantum disruptors, disguised as Christmas presents, rewrote the local laws of physics in ways that would have made Einstein have a nervous breakdown. "Second wave ready for deployment," another ELF unit reported. "Shall we proceed with Operation Stockings?" Elena couldn't help but grin as she activated the next phase of their defense. From the facility's massive hangars emerged thousands of smaller craft, each one piloted by an ELF unit and loaded with what Nicholas had dubbed quantum coal, microscopic black holes contained in festive spheres that looked suspiciously like Christmas ornaments. "You know," Dr. Chen commented from his station, where he was coordinating with similar facilities that had activated at the South Pole and other strategic locations around the globe, "I'm starting to think all those Christmas specials weren't just stories. They were training simulations." "In a way, they were," Nicholas replied. "The artificers designed this system to work with human consciousness, human culture. Every Christmas story, every holiday special, every tale of flying reindeer and magical workshops, they all helped prepare humanity for this moment." Speaking of which, the facility shuddered as its main manufacturing centers reached full production capacity. The assembly lines were now producing devices that made the quantum shield disruptors look like toys, weapons and defensive systems that operated on principles so advanced they might as well have been magic. "Elena," Nicholas said, his tone becoming more serious, "it's time to show them what happens when they threaten the nice list." Through her connection to the facility's systems, Elena initiated what the interface was calling the Polar Express Protocol. Across Earth's surface, quantum entanglement networks activated, linking every remaining human military installation to the facility's advanced technology. Regular missiles became quantum tunneling projectiles that could bypass any defense. Conventional fighters were enveloped in fields that allowed them to maneuver in ways that would have turned their pilots to paste without the protective effects. Even civilian infrastructure was being enhanced, protected by shields that drew their power from the same source that had kept the facility hidden for thousands of years: human belief. Admiral Zarin watched in mounting horror as his fleet's tactical advantage evaporated. The primitive species that had barely achieved spaceflight was now deploying technology that shouldn't have been possible for another 1,000 years. And they were doing it with a level of coordination that suggested they'd been preparing for this moment for centuries. "Sir," Xerxes reported, his voice shaking, "we're detecting more quantum signatures." "There, sir, they're coming down chimneys." "Our chimneys." The waste exhaust ports are being used to deliver some kind of. The bridge rocked as multiple systems failed simultaneously. Throughout the fleet, critical components were being replaced with lumps of quantum-enhanced coal that radiated disapproval on a subatomic level. "All ships reporting critical failures," Xerxes continued. "Our weapons are being transformed into candy canes." "Sir, I don't understand what's happening." But Zarin was beginning to understand. The humans hadn't just discovered advanced technology, they'd been given it by someone who understood them better than they understood themselves. Every childish story, every winter celebration, every tale of magical gift-givers, it had all been preparation for this moment. And as he watched another wave of silvery sleighs approach his crippled fleet, each one trailing quantum distortions that looked disturbingly like snow, Admiral Zarin realized that his superiors' fears about humanity had been correct, but for all the wrong reasons. They weren't dangerous because they developed too quickly. They were dangerous because someone had seen their potential millennia ago and had given them the greatest gift of all, a defense system that turned their most cherished myths into reality. The battle for Earth was about to become the stuff of legend, a legend that would be told around Christmas trees for generations to come. And somewhere in the quantum networks that now enveloped the planet, an ancient AI was thoroughly enjoying the opportunity to finally deliver the presents it had been preparing for humanity for the past 150,000 years. It was going to be a Christmas to remember. Origins of Wonder. As Earth's defense systems continued their assault on the alien fleet, Elena found herself drawn into another aspect of the facility's vast database. The control chair was feeding her information about the artificers, revealing a story that stretched back far beyond human civilization. "They called themselves the Shapers of Wonder," Nicholas explained, his voice taking on a reverent tone. "Though that's the closest translation your language can manage. They weren't just scientists or engineers, they were something more. They understood that consciousness itself was the greatest force in the universe." The holographic displays around Elena shifted, showing images that made her gasp. The artificers appeared as beings of pure light and possibility, their forms constantly shifting between states of matter that shouldn't have been able to exist simultaneously. "But why Christmas?" Dr. Chen asked, momentarily looking up from his coordination of the Global Defense Network. "Of all the human myths and legends, why build your legacy around a holiday?" The answer came not from Nicholas, but from one of the elf units, its mercury-like surface forming into an expression that might have been a smile. "Because, Dr. Chen, Christmas represents something unique in human culture, a moment when billions of minds focus on the same concepts: generosity, wonder, and the possibility of magic." Through her connection to the facility's systems, Elena saw fragments of the artificers' history unfold. They had been one of the first species to achieve consciousness in this galaxy, evolving not through biological processes but through the spontaneous organization of quantum fields. They had watched countless civilizations rise and fall, some destroying themselves with technology they weren't ready for, others being conquered by more aggressive species. "The artificers discovered something profound about the universe," Nicholas continued. "The quantum field responds to collective belief. When enough conscious minds focus on the same possibility, it creates ripples in reality itself. But most species lose their ability to believe in the impossible as they advance technologically." "Except humans," Elena whispered, understanding dawning. "Exactly." Nicholas's voice boomed with approval. Humans are unique. You advance technologically while maintaining your capacity for wonder. You create new technologies while still telling stories about magic. You reach for the stars while keeping your childhood dreams alive. The displays showed scenes from human history, cave paintings giving way to written language, steam engines leading to spacecraft, each advance accompanied by stories, myths, and dreams of something more. The artificers saw this potential in humanity's earliest ancestors, an elf unit explained. They saw a species that would one day face threats like Admiral Zaren's fleet, but they also saw something else, a species that could be trusted with power because they understood the importance of wonder. As if to emphasize this point, the facility's sensors showed another wave of quantum-enhanced defense systems deploying across the planet. Each piece of technology was disguised as something from Christmas lore: toy soldiers that could repel invasion forces, candy canes that disrupted alien weapon systems, and wreaths that generated protective fields around cities. The Galactic Council fears humanity because you develop too quickly, Nicholas said. But they don't understand that your rapid advancement comes from this unique combination of scientific progress and maintained wonder. The artificers built this facility not just as a defense system, but as a bridge between what you are and what you could become. Through the quantum networks, Elena could feel the truth of these words. The facility wasn't just defending Earth, it was helping humanity take its next evolutionary step. Each piece of advanced technology was being introduced in a way that human minds could comprehend and accept, wrapped in the familiar trappings of their most wonder-filled holiday. But what happened to the artificers? Dr. Chen asked, voicing the question that had been nagging at Elena's mind. The holographic displays dimmed slightly, and Nicholas's voice became somber. They transcended. After seeding the galaxy with systems like this one, they evolved beyond physical form entirely. But before they left, they made a choice about who would inherit their legacy. The displays showed the artificers' final act, the creation of Protocol Nicholas and the elf units, designed not just as caretakers but as teachers who would help humanity understand its own potential. They could have chosen any of 1,000 more advanced species, an elf unit added. But they chose humanity because you do something no other species has managed: you believe in the impossible while creating the possible. Every time a child leaves cookies for Santa, every time someone helps a stranger in the spirit of Christmas, every act of generosity and wonder, it all feeds into the quantum field, strengthening this facility's systems. Elena's attention was drawn back to the battle as Admiral Zaren's fleet attempted to regroup. Through the facility's sensors, she could see the alien commander's growing realization that he wasn't just fighting against advanced technology, he was fighting against the concentrated wonder of an entire species. Speaking of which, Nicholas announced, his jolly tone returning, I believe it's time for the next phase of our defense. Dr. Rodriguez, would you like to help me demonstrate why it's particularly unwise to attack Earth during the holiday season? The facility's manufacturing centers hummed with renewed energy as they prepared to deploy what the interface was calling Project Miracle on 34th Street, a defense system that would make the previous attacks look like mere stocking stuffers. You see, Nicholas explained, as the systems powered up, the artificers left one last gift, a way for humanity to take its place among the stars without losing the wonder that makes you special. And what better time to unwrap that gift than Christmas? As Elena initiated the new defense protocols, she understood what the artificers had known all along: humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its rate of advancement. It was its ability to face the impossible with both scientific curiosity and childlike wonder. And as another wave of quantum-enhanced Christmas magic prepared to launch, Admiral Zaren was about to learn why some species deserve their place on the nice list, and why others should think very carefully before trying to play Grinch to humanity's Christmas. A gift for the galaxy. Admiral Zaren had faced many battles in his long military career, but nothing had prepared him for this. His mighty invasion fleet, once poised to subjugate a primitive world, now hung in space like a collection of broken toys. Through the quantum distortions that filled Earth's orbit, he watched as another wave of those impossible sleigh-shaped vessels approached. Sir, Lieutenant Zerx reported, his tentacles drooping with resignation, Project Miracle on 34th Street is, sir, it's rewriting reality itself. The Admiral's crystalline plates shifted as he processed this information. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were changing the rules of the game entirely. And somewhere in the back of his tactical mind, a strange thought emerged: perhaps the Galactic Council had been asking the wrong questions all along. Deep beneath the Arctic ice, Dr. Elena Rodriguez guided the facility's most powerful systems into their final configuration. Through her connection to the control chair, she could feel the quantum field responding to humanity's collective belief, amplified by the Artificer's technology in ways that defied conventional physics. Now then, Nicholas announced, his voice filling the vast chamber, shall we show them what Christmas is really about? The facility's manufacturing centers had produced something new, not weapons or shields, but devices that the interface labeled as reality harmonizers. Each one looked like a beautiful Christmas ornament, crafted from what appeared to be blown glass but was actually crystallized quantum probability. The Artificers left these for when humanity was ready, an elf unit explained, its mercury-like surface reflecting the rainbow of colors emanating from the ornaments. They're not weapons, they're gifts. Gifts that will help the galaxy understand what the Artificers saw in humanity all those millennia ago. Dr. Chen looked up from his station, where he had been coordinating with similar facilities around the globe. Understanding is good, but will it stop them from trying to destroy us? Nicholas's laugh echoed through the chamber. Ho ho ho. My dear doctor, destruction was never their true goal. Fear was driving them, fear of the unknown, fear of change, fear of a species that could advance so quickly while maintaining its sense of wonder. And what better cure for fear than a little Christmas spirit? Elena initiated the deployment sequence, and the reality harmonizers began to rise through specially designed launch tubes. As they ascended, each one began to glow with an inner light that seemed to contain entire universes. You see, Nicholas continued, the Artificers understood something that both humanity and the Galactic Council needed to learn. Progress isn't just about technology or power, it's about growing without losing your soul. Humanity has done something remarkable, you've reached for the stars while keeping your capacity for wonder intact. Every Christmas story, every act of generosity, every moment of believing in something magical, it all prepared you for this moment. Through the facility's sensors, Elena watched as the reality harmonizers reached their designated positions around Earth. Each one activated in a cascade of light that rippled through the quantum field, creating effects that would have made Einstein throw up his hands in defeat. Admiral Zarin's compound eyes widened as his ship's sensors tried to make sense of what was happening. The space around Earth was changing. Not in the violent, destructive way he had feared humanity might one day achieve, but in a way that spoke of possibility and wonder. Images began appearing in the quantum field, scenes from Earth's history, but not of wars or conquests. Instead, the field showed moments of human kindness, of wonder, of celebration. Christmas mornings with children's eyes wide with delight. Strangers helping strangers in the spirit of the season. Communities coming together to share joy and hope. Sir, Xerxes reported, his voice filled with awe, these images, they're not just recordings. They're quantum imprints. The humans have found a way to share experiences directly through the fabric of space-time. The reality harmonizer's effect spread through the alien fleet, touching each crew member with something that transcended mere technology. They weren't just seeing human experiences, they were feeling them, understanding them on a fundamental level. In the North Pole facility, Elena smiled as she monitored the results. They're beginning to understand, she said. Indeed they are, Nicholas agreed. The Artificers designed these systems not just to defend humanity, but to help you share your greatest gift with the galaxy, your ability to believe in something better, to maintain wonder in the face of advancement, to see magic in the midst of science. Through the quantum network, a message arrived from Admiral Zarin's flagship. It was simple, but profound. We request a parley, and perhaps some of those cookies we're experiencing in these shared memories. We have much to discuss. The facility hummed with approval as Elena authorized the response. Around the world, the defensive systems reconfigured themselves, transforming from weapons back into the seemingly impossible workshop they had appeared to be all along. You know, Dr. Chen mused, watching as the elf units began preparing for their unexpected guests, I don't think this is quite what the Galactic Council was expecting when they sent their fleet to contain humanity. Sometimes the best gifts are the unexpected ones, Nicholas replied cheerfully. The artificers knew that humanity would eventually face this moment, when the galaxy would have to decide whether to fear your potential or embrace it. They left these systems not just to protect you, but to help you show others what they saw so long ago. As the alien delegation prepared to be transported down to the facility, Elena realized that this Christmas would mark not just humanity's survival, but its true emergence onto the galactic stage. Not as conquerors or threats, but as beings who had managed to advance technologically while keeping their sense of wonder intact. Now then, Nicholas announced, his voice filled with that familiar holiday cheer, shall we show our guests how humanity celebrates the season? I believe we have quite a story to share, a story about a species that believed in magic so strongly that they turned it into reality. The facility's halls filled with the sound of tinkling bells as the elf units prepared for their first diplomatic reception. Above, the reality harmonizers continued their work, spreading understanding through the quantum field. And in orbit, Admiral Zaren's fleet hung peacefully in space, their weapons transformed into something far more powerful, a bridge between species, built on humanity's most enduring gift to the galaxy, the ability to believe in wonders yet to come. Christmas, it seemed, had come early this year. And thanks to the artificers' foresight and humanity's unwavering spirit, it would now be celebrated not just on Earth, but across the stars, a reminder that the greatest power in the universe isn't technology or weapons, but the simple ability to maintain wonder in the face of the impossible. The North Pole facility, once hidden beneath the ice, would become humanity's first galactic embassy. And as for Protocol Nicholas? Well, let's just say that delivering presents to good little children across the galaxy would make the Earth run seem like a warm-up lap. After all, as any child could tell you, Santa's workshop was always meant for something more than just toys. It was meant to remind us that magic isn't about breaking the rules of reality, it's about believing in something wonderful enough to make reality itself want to change. And that, perhaps, was the greatest Christmas gift of all.